Yes, we are now live. Welcome. This is episode 10 of RPGeez. I'm your co-host Alex Pravdin. With me we have our other co-host Death, and today we have Zan, who's working on an RPG called Project Psi. Yeah, let's get into it. That's fair. I mean, Death is in LA, so we get a break there. Yeah. So, Zan, yeah, are you watching or listening to anything specific right now that you'd like to mention? Okay. I was. That's a nice direction to take the question. Do you wanna dig deeper into that? I mean, I was obviously we were talking about media, but dwarven. Okay, that sounds interesting. I myself like rock and metal as well, so that sounds right up my alley. Is there a specific artist that you remember, or it just kind of blend together? Cool. Yeah. Have you? Do you have any stories from recent game sessions that you'd like to share? Cool. Yeah, I mean, you gave some spotlights on some different creatures there, like the Wendigo. Um, what are some of your like nostalgia games growing up? You ever play Super Mario 64? Aw, okay. Okay, last question for small talk. Do you have are there any new games or game systems that you're like checked out recently? Okay. Okay. Wow, you have quite a range of games that you enjoy. Cool. Let's get introduction of you in general. If you could go through these, that'd be great. Name, studio, if you have a studio or alias. Got it. And Zan, what was your first exposure to TTRPGs?
So, when I was about 10, I saw my father play a game with my brother and some of my brother-in-laws and things like that. I just got really interested in whatever they were doing, crawling around a dungeon and insulting each other in character. And I just sat there and watched. And eventually they let me play.
Nice. That's the so your legacy legacy person, TTRPG enjoyer. Nice. I found it through actual plays, so I don't have that. But that's really cool. Um, was your dad like who was the game master?
It was usually my father. Other people didn't like to game master or didn't have the experience yet.
Got it. And what game system was it?
The first game system I played was D&D 3.5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Damn.
and we played that until 5e released, and we were a part of the very beginning of open playtests.
Wow. That's I also started with 5e, but uh, you guys got in on the ground early there. Um, yeah. So how often are you playing, like GMing or designing like TTRPGs? Would you say per week?
People often say that if other people have no life, then I have negative life. Because I run 5 games a week consistently.
Whoa.
Every single one of them in the evening. I play as an actual player on a play-by-post and individual campaign. Recently ended,
Okay.
and I design my own game at the very least 3 to 4 times a week.
Have you considered being a professional game master? I mean, you're running like a lot of games already. I mean,
So I looked into going down that alley, and I didn't find a lot of ways to do it consistently or comfortably because a lot of third-party softwares don't have enough of an audience or don't have trustworthy rulings, things like that. But the main blocker, honestly, is my consistency because where a normal DM doesn't prepare, I am even worse than that because I don't even find art for battle maps or create tokens until I'm in the middle of a session.
okay. So I assume these games are online for the most part.
Yes.
Okay. I don't really prep. I barely prep at all, so I'm right there with you, dude. So you just gotta wing it.
Really?
Probably. I'm sure I could benefit from a little bit of prep. Um,
In the past, I can't keep up with everything. It's just a lot of times I forget. I mean, I'm running 5 games.
I'm running a game tomorrow morning. Okay. Paid one. So, what are your goals in the industry and as a designer?
My main goal in the industry is to be an inspiration because a lot of things people just forget. Stereotypes. People are constantly either using them as a crutch or throwing them to the wind or trying way too hard to avoid them and crippling their own efforts because of them. That's one thing I want to change. I want people to actually follow their ideas free form instead of worrying what others think and trying to avoid cliches and conventions that can actually help in your design. And as a general designer myself, I just want to have fun. I have thousands of ideas. I actually legitimately have something in my brain where I have non-stop ideas and I can't stop them or focus on just one because it just passes by.
Hmm.
So this is an outlet to allow me to clear up some thoughts in my head and to just have fun and write down what I enjoy and maybe even make something that other people can enjoy, hopefully later.
That's awesome. Dude, thousands of ideas. I mean, yeah, the timing on that. Let's hear about this idea for this game system. Yeah, give us a pitch. Paint us. What kind of stories do you want your game system to tell?
So my system project has a deep and developed world that has already been told. You are at the end of the story, and originally the story was great, but your adventures begin as the Grim Dark end hundreds of thousands of years in the future. And your goal isn't to fight this grim or isn't to support a side, but is to survive. You're being hired by these factions. You're a mercenary looking for work, or maybe you're still allied with the faction. But the wars have already ended, and now you're trying to survive the consequences. The lack of resources, the internal struggles, and the espionage and control that happens afterwards, where you're constantly invading each other's territories, secretly trying to take each other out without being noticed, trying to steal secrets and resources. You're not soldiers, you're spies, mercenaries, assassins.
Nice. Sounds very high stakes. Um, yeah, cool. Yeah, we'll hear more about it as we go on. Now, important question. Yeah, do you prefer chunky or creamy peanut butter?
Honestly, for peanut butter, I prefer a good bit of crunch.
There we go. And then game system wise, I mean, I assume because I'm gonna guess that your game system is more crunchy based on you starting with 3.5, but you can correct me if I'm wrong.
So, I love intricacies, but sometimes the crunch gets way too much. So what I actually enjoy is an adaptive game where the base rules are more on the side of crunch, but you have an optional ruling set where you can turn off those rules, turn off your brain a bit, and have the super free flow, creamy as you call it, experience where you can give your brain a break. I still do like the crunch more just in general gameplay, but I want that break to refresh the brain every now and then. And that's why I have games running in different systems. I'm running Mutants and Masterminds, I'm running D&D, I'm running Blades. Sort of balance each other out.
Sorry, give me one moment here. Things are not going as expected. I agree.
Thanks to the free form that I've had going, it's actually been really great to keep both the main roster and the players fun in the memory that they use for the story.
One sec here.
Yeah, if I was anyone else with less ideas, it would be a million more hours of gameplay. But thanks to that one gift, I've actually like the perfect DM piece together.
Bost. Yeah, sorry about that. I was just updating the title. So, yeah, where you mentioned like intricacies. So, like, what do you want to? Can you be more specific about that?
Okay, so one of my favorite parts of 3.5 was the skill system. You had skills for everything, and skills looked actually really cool. You had fresh swords, and you had slow ones, and you got as you leveled up. That intricacy was wonderful, and it made the
Okay. Yeah, so you're in favor of kind of a build point system, right? Sounds like.
Yeah, and in some areas, I think that's definitely inevitable.
All right, let's get a hot take from you. I have my dice here. Let me roll some dice real quick. Let's do this. All right, 3. Yeah, give us a hot take about a setting or species depiction.
Okay. Personally, I hate when a setting follows tropes for no reason. Elves hating dwarves, goblins being violent, ogres being stupid, things like that. When a setting follows those tropes but there's no actual legitimate reason behind them, like, yeah, it's what you know, it's what you expect, but there's no depth to your world anymore. There's no reason for these things to exist, no real motivation. And you just can't work with that. It's annoying to work with. And I feel like if you have something in your name, lore-wise or not, there needs to be a reason. There needs to be something within the lore of the world that explains why this exists. And when you have something in your setting that's just like, okay, these people hate these people. Why? What's the reason they hate each other? Is there some history? Is it because they were designed to by some god?
Well, let me ask you a question. What's your opinion about a setting that doesn't really take itself seriously, so it doesn't feel like it needs to justify itself?
Can you give me a specific site as an example?
Um, yeah, well, okay, Death's game I would say has some explanation, but like I have a small, very small kind of setting thing for my game Muscle Wizard, and I named the starting town Flexhaven because it was funny, and basically it's just super high fantasy, and most people are muscle wizards, some magic, some physical. Muscle stuff, but there are some people that are just true wizards and true muscle people. So again, like there isn't too much of an explanation there. It's just a generic, template, high fantasy. You could just go crazy. So again, yeah.
So, I'm going to tell you my opinion about jokes as an answer to this.
Okay.
If a joke doesn't have substance, there isn't a punchline. Think about dad jokes, just random puns with no substance, no alliteration. Dad jokes to me are stupid and boring and weak. But when you have substance behind a joke, when you have a history behind it, suddenly it becomes that much better. And while I love joke settings, while I love things made just to be funny, if there isn't something in there to reference for example, then it just feels like a dad joke to me, a cheap punchline. And that loses its quality very quickly, in my opinion.
I thought of another example. Discworld. That series. I've read the first 3 books of Guards, Guards, Guards. Um, I mean, there's a lot of stuff there that isn't really explained. Like trolls are dumb because it's hot, but so like there's a scene where it's like a troll is like super cold and it becomes like super intelligent, because it's so like I don't know. There's like how much of an explanation is the bare minimum? Would you say?
The bare minimum explanation overall changes widely. And part of that is changing based off of what your goals are. If your goals are humor, you will naturally need a lot less in order to make it worse than if you're going super witty, super serious. Because there are expectations and then there is reality. And
Okay, so context. All right, I'll give you that. All right, let's move on to the next section. Cool. The table topics topic table. Welcome. We're gonna be here for a little bit. We'll roll for what part of your game system we'll be asking you about. We got a 5 here, so we got narrative and social. Awesome. Do you want me to ask a more specific question, or do you want to cover like how your game handles narrative and social in general first?
My game, the SPNS game, has a lot of nuances with narratives that are unexpected. So, I feel like covering the entire concept might not do it all the justice it deserves.
Okay, we'll ask something more specific then. 8. Yeah. Do you have any mechanics in your game that are specifically relate to social narrative or roleplay?
Well, one big thing is the skill system itself, but everyone expects a skill system, and that's always, social related and such. Another interesting thing I have is downtime. Something called routines is a mechanic in my game where you choose to spend hours or even days out of your downtime between missions in order to fulfill certain objectives. Maybe you'll take an hour out of your day for cardio to increase your maximum health. Maybe you'll take a day out of your week to disassemble and clean out your notes entirely. Some species even have routines unique to them, like the ability to prune your leaves for plant life specials. And what is important for these routines is that you have to actually fit them into the time limit you have for downtime decided by your DM. And this is important because if you can't fit the downtime requirements into a routine, you won't get the bonus until you actually do it again. And some of these routines are very powerful. There are things like you can prevent death once, but then they take like an entire week of downtime uninterrupted to get back.
I mean, that's very powerful. Do you have a set list, or is this something that's kind of a GM player fiat situation?
The vast majority of my system is a free form list. I have
Okay.
a list of stats that are in samples for you to build your own things if you so wish.
So you have. So you're saying people can make up their own stats in your system?
They can if they so wish, yes. And
Hmm.
I keep a lot of the stats simpler so that people can replicate them easily.
Okay. So I mean, we were originally asking like, so your skills. You're saying your skill system kind of makes up for social narrative roleplay mechanics, right? What like, for example, like, do you have a persuasion skill, or what or not really?
I have something even better. I have a skill list with over 10 major skills and over 30 minor skills.
Okay.
Each of these skills can be increased through proficiencies, experience, and more. Now, what's also interesting is that your background can also change.
By the way, I mean, if you were willing to, you're more than welcome to screen share or send some of these over and we can show it. If not, that's totally cool. I'm also going to roll for another question. In the meantime, 5. Oh, we just talked about downtime, so I'm going to reroll. Yes, I rolled 8 again. Okay, if we get another copy, we're out of here. 1. Yeah, how do the players influence the narrative in your system?
So I'm actually going to get a screenshot of the skill list for you real quick.
Cool.
But what's interesting about the skills is that it isn't just a static list. The skills are increased through a multitude of ways, and one of these ways, very interestingly, is actually your background in the system. And
Cool.
you might have an increase to it's you might have an increase to any persuade insight or instigate checks made to better recommend your spell's ability characters to the public. And that's the important bit. The bonus only applies when following a roleplay scenario specific to it, meaning you are incentivized to find these scenarios and play the type of character you wanted and build, giving bonuses whenever you stay in character.
Okay. Cool. So it's mechanically incentivized role playing. Nice. Cool. Yes.
Because this is one of the major selling points. This is post-grounded, not even like 80 or 100 years after the grounded rules. Relationships between factions is extremely tender. And one mistake, one thrown mission where they can trace you back to your benefactor can spark an entirely new grounded war that spans tens of thousands of years. But one good thing, one large impact relations between factions can make them much less likely to fight against each other or more likely to fight together for Now, how the DM wants to implement this and what factors this would have on the world and their setting is, of course, up to them. But this is a razor's edge. It is designed to be an edge that your character knows, where one wrong move can tilt them in any direction. It's an integral of depth person.
Okay. So it's kind of snowballs. Nice. Yeah, let's move on to a different section of the table topic software table. Let's see. 5. Oh, that's a real right there. It's a 2. Character creation. I assume your character creation is very robust, coming from 3.5. Let's see. 4. Yeah. What are the starting equipment and skills? We got to look at your skill list. But what do you start with there?
So, starting equipment is very simple. There is no equipment function. What there is actually a credit amount, and you can use that credit amount to buy weapons or equipment. Now, you have access to a lot of things. Every faction has 10 plus weapons whenever the item weakens. But what's even more important than that is the factions themselves. Because in the vast majority of campaigns, you may be restricted on weapon lists that you can use based off of where your allies are working. A purely neutral campaign will have access to more weapons. But if your allies look for weaknesses, you might have access to their weapons and great weapons, but you don't have access to the modular missions where you weaken people's weapons less often, unless you somehow steal them from your allies, meaning that your equipment is actually limited by who you choose to outfit.
Hmm. Okay, and then so that's equipment, and then skills, because I know you said, yeah. So like how many skills am I getting? Is my John Doe fighter?
So, skills are taken in an interesting direction. There are actually different levels of proficiency that are decided by your class, species, and even your position. The entirety of your character creator gives you bonuses to these skills.
Okay.
And where the proficiencies are is the classes. Every class gives a good amount of skill proficiencies. Basically, they give medium proficiencies, which is a plus 4 to rolls. And the minimum that a class gives is 5 proficiencies of varying levels.
Okay. So they're, they're starting out. There's a lot of possible progression to make because it's, you're not handing out so many to start with.
One other major detail is that proficiencies are almost always for major skills, not minor skills.
Out of the
And
10.
as a component, we have sorry,
Well, I'm just saying out of the 10, right, that you sent.
yes. So there are overall 13 major skills.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And
My bad.
when you gain a proficiency in a major skill, which that's usually the only way to gain proficiencies for a major skill, it affects all the minor skills listed under that major skill. Meaning a medium proficiency in a major skill can actually give you a plus 4 and up to 4 minor skills as well.
So it gets distributed to the minor skills. Okay, that makes sense. Nice.
So while it doesn't seem like a lot, you can gain bonuses in almost 20 skills from just your class alone.
Yeah, I mean that's okay. Yeah, if you say it like that, it does sound like a lot more. Cool. Let's see what else here. 6. Yeah, races and backgrounds.
Okay, so we kind of touched up on the backgrounds already with the components and things, but right now there are 6 of them, and each of them give 3 major bonuses. The first one is an additional bonus to your starting currency to be able to buy more armor. The second bonus is a simple plus 1 to range, in abilities to wow, free, and Bost. And the final bonus is a bonus to your skills. Now, that's the one we touched on with Bost, whereas a situational bonus that you only get if you follow a theme that you set for your character using this whole system. Another interesting thing, however, is that you can choose to gain proficiency in a major skill. And that's the big thing, because you can take any major skill that pulls from an abilities focus system and give the proficiency to that, giving you upwards of 4 to 5 options. Not 4 to 5 options on average per skill, depending on the ability scores that are listed from the system, already giving you plenty of variance in such a small part of your character creation.
And I rolled the stats, but we already showed those off. I'm curious, like, does your game have a class system, or is it something different?
Yes, my game has a class system, but it isn't a conventional class system in one specific area. Whenever you get to these specialisms, which are subclasses, every single feature after the first one gives you 3 choices, giving you over 5,000 builds per class, assuming that you're only taking those into account and not the different species and stat distributions above.
Yeah, let's go back to the table topics, topic table. Let's see here. 4, combat. And with that, I will leave you with Death for a little while.
Why? Okay. So do you want to just talk about combat in general or based on
Combat does have quite a few nuances itself. For example, if you were using pierce damage, you increase the check range of the character that you were attacking for the rest of the combat, meaning that now a 19 to 20 hits instead of just a 20. And so, and this does stack up. But if you're using something like melt damage, which is sitting on the list with acid, then the critical effect is that the damage reapplies the next time the target attempts to use their move action. And there's even more complicated moves like Burn, where you roll d6, and depending on the result, it uses one of 3 random effects, such as causing them to panic and respond, causing the fire to spread, and so on. Now, while fumbles are an idea, we actually don't have anything mechanics-wise for fumbles as of yet, since honestly we haven't made it, and no one's displayed an interest in them particularly. And honestly, I'm perfectly fine if my system doesn't have fumbles. I always viewed it as a funny, but overall not very useful good mechanic to have, not a necessary one. It is, of course, entertaining when someone moves in and wanting you to laugh at them, but then the movie dies down and not much happens. I want my game to feel unique every step of the way, and I hate when a game sacrifices something to make something else better, when they could have simply taken the extra time to make them both good.
That's presuming you have infinite time, so yes, I understand.
Of course, some people are limited by budget, but there are some cases where there's just no reason to make that sacrifice. And a lot of large companies do that. They constrain their
Yeah, I walked earlier.
heavy, much
Like
heavier
2 hours
level
ago.
to your wisdom,
Yeah.
which is like a mana
I'm
source.
just waiting.
Weapons themselves also have their
Alex.
own ways of keeping up with spells. Many of them having AoE
Oh, I
effects,
already got it.
immediate pain between enemies, or effects that give you extra attacks, such as burst fire when needed, giving them their own form of
Okay,
AoE.
give it a shot. No, it's, I already got it. Thank you. I already grabbed it. I already had some things.
Healing and damage is interesting. So, firstly is damage. Your health bar
I like that. I really don't like people, collapsing on the ground and then just like being healed and everything is fine. I'm very. Cool. Let's move on to settings. The table. Let's get into your setting. Let's see here. 3. Economics. Well, I don't know, man. It's just what people want. It's what the dice want. Currency. You got special currency in your game. Interesting. So how big do you imagine like 1 credit to be? Okay. So people are using money as their fidget toy. It sounds like. Just that's cool. Yeah. hmm And and are the bits inherently valuable, or is it kind of a thing where everyone just kind of agrees and it's enforced in some way? Most of its value is not inherent. Okay. Um, what can I buy for like 1 bit? Yeah. Okay. Okay. And let's say how many bits or credits does a character start with typically? Okay. Okay. And by the way, I'm gonna assume your game is like modern or sci-fi because it's called sci. Um, yeah. Yeah. So exactly. So how much for like a car or like some kind of mount? Uh, yeah. Okay. I mean that's still 2 characters worth of cash. All right. Let's see if there's one more interesting nugget in economics we can mine. History. Yeah. So how has like the economics changed historically? Um, in yeah. So it's like post scarcity. And is the current time like not at that level, or there's something limiting that? Okay, so I mean that was a very good explanation and answer there. Let's move on to a different part of your setting. 5, technology and magic. Yeah. If you wanted to cover it in general, that's also cool. But I will roll just in case. Access to technology and magic. Yeah. So what's the level of access that people have to those? And is there any like unexpected technology that is thrown into your setting that may not exist?
There's this interesting technology in a faction called the English that are obsessed with knowledge and view knowledge as the ultimate currency. And what they have is essentially advanced reading, where you scan your icon and you pay the machine, and it will answer any question you have, but in a very dystopian fashion, it will give different answers based off of your ranking in society.
Interesting. So it's not objective.
If you ask for questions about the government secret from any of the governments, it will straight up lie to you and try to disprove conspiracies that are untrue.
Hmm. Damn.
That's really funny because people in Sophia are actually hypocritical. They believe knowledge to be ultimate currency and that everyone should have access to that knowledge, no matter what that knowledge is. And then they have their own secrets and hide knowledge from the normal civilians that believe the same thing they do.
That is quite hypocritical. Yeah, anything you want to mention else for technology and magic, or we'll move on to a different.
Yes, there's this very interesting point. Technology is magic in my setting.
Okay.
How psionics works in my setting with psionics with my magic system is the vast majority of those psionics is done through manipulating the technology and basically surrounding the enemy. So at any point where there's technology, there is magic in my space or environment. It's just a very interesting quality that kind of exists in the story that I can see.
Yeah, dude, that's okay. Let's talk about a different aspect of your setting then. Let's go back to the main table, please. Thank you, Death. Let's see, 6 environment. Yeah, it's Death knows. Yeah,
I've rolled an entire die.
yeah. I don't even roll the dice. I just say environment every time. That's not true. 4 is yeah. What goes bump in the night in your setting?
What goes? Can you be a bit more specific?
Scary things that may or may not exist in your setting. Boogeyman, real or not.
Oh, if you want scary things.
Yeah, dangers.
I have an entire galaxy called Bost. So there is this creature that everyone is terrified of. They're so scared of it that they outright even look for having sex with it as ultimate. And that is the Bevoom, a race of sentient androids that are a faction of sentient androids that self-corrupts through factories.
Damn. So how are they massacring all those people on scale?
The Dominion were robots, and what they did was they decided the most efficient way to get rid of sentient life was through mass destruction. So they developed a technology called slow compression, where you can fit materials into a space 100 times smaller and only lose about half of the cost. With this, they created atomic bombs more powerful than anything we've ever seen, the size of hand grenades, strapped them to drones, flew them over the surface of the planet, and carbon bombed the planet with nukes until there were no life forms left. They went planet to planet, carbon bombing, teleporting their forces in to slaughter soldiers and civilians lost. Carbon bombed the planet to make sure it was unusable, and were roaming through the galaxy with this strategy in mind.
Damn, that is quite overkill. It's a very it's scary, dude. Um,
Process could have been destroying the planet's many people. They would eventually starve all sentient species out for necessary resources.
are they still a thing like in the present of the?
They are not a thing that the games make them. Let me tell you something. I'm not going to say that they've never been a presence to it, but there have been no signs of them, no recorded signs of them from any civilian or government official ever since the end of the Dominion Wars. To say they are entirely gone, however, is to say that you could never see one shard of gold due to the grand scale. It's legitimately impossible. Even if it's just one drifting off an escape pod somewhere in space, the probability of there being Dominion survivors is so high that it is impossible to say that it is not possible. It is not essentially guaranteed.
Okay, just super, very boogeyman like you said. It's like very hush hush about them. Hmm. Okay, let's do at least one more here. One geography. Yeah, you got any interesting geography in your setting?
Well, considering how my setting has literally billions of planets and stars that haven't come into existence yet, if you want a geography, it exists. There are entire planets owned by the rich that have been hand-carved into living statues, creating unique geographies that normally would be impossible, even in the grand expanse of our entire galaxy. So, considering the nature of the game, if you want a geography, if you want an area or a specific world, there is a planet for it.
Okay, so it's just you're taking the scale so big that anything is included. Okay, I will try to find something more specific to ask then. 6. History. We've kind of done some history, but how has the environment changed like on these planets over time?
That's very interesting. So I can actually give you the history of the past, and I will give you the history of every planet inside of the galaxy all at once. There is a faction named the Arico Council. Now, you can just call them the Council for short. These Tonsi are sentient plants, tree-like creatures that believe all the other
And this is not the robots, boogeyman, right? This is.
This is the arena tools, a faction governed by plant agriculturists.
I also rolled weather and nature, so if there's any like crazy weather phenomenon, that I'd like to hear it.
Damn, that's some horror shit. Like, dude. There's got to be some people that come in there after the fact to grab some diamonds, right? Oh, damn. I'm. Damn. Well, rip the diamond industry. Okay, so let's. Do you want to talk more about your setting, or do you want to move on to like more like business side conversation? Okay, we'll do one more roll then. Let's see here. 5. Okay. If I get another duplicate, then I'll move on, or we can talk about whatever. I got 3 economic. Okay, we'll do. All right. Sorry, we're done. We're done with talking about the setting. Yeah, rip. In general, what's your plan, man? Okay. Yeah, so your current plan, I mean, like most of people working on their own thing, is just have fun in the process, and, you know, if it grows into something, then pursue that, essentially, broadly speaking. Cool. Let's talk about business strategy. Let's see here. 1. Yeah, why will your plan succeed? What makes you believe in your plan?
Okay. So, you know, you're counting on like the stickiness and acquisition of your game, which, yeah, I mean, speaks for itself. Let's do at least one more here. Two. Wow, we're just going down the list at this point. What are the obstacles that you must overcome, and what can you do to overcome them? Okay, let's do one more. We go here. Wow, we're going down the line. One, two, three. What are your competitors doing, and how will you compete? And again, this is like, because the next part is marketing, so this is like on the business side more so. Well, it sounds like you've like learned a lot of lessons just by seeing these video game franchises over the years. Try and fail in various things, and succeed in some. That's true, except the company. So let's move on in the marketing strategy then. Awesome, cool. Yeah. So you don't have to answer this with a solid number. You could answer with like a percentage But yeah, how much do you plan to budget for marketing purposes and outreach? Like, once you have something going, what would be your percentage devoted to that?
Marketing purposes and
Yeah.
ideally, I want to split this very interesting and some people would call this a marketing suicide, and that would affect everything else. So for marketing and outreach, I would want, depending on how much I make, anywhere between like 15% and maybe even 40%. If I don't make a whole bunch, it would of course be a higher percentage because marketing can be pretty expensive sometimes.
Yeah, it's not cheap. Yeah, so I mean, like, you want to throw a rough ballpark there? Like, would it be at least 5%, 10%, 20%? Like,
Would be at least 15. At
okay,
least 15%.
that's reasonable. I approve. It also depends what you know what you're marketing. But okay, let's do at least one more here. 5. Yeah. So how out there do you want your message to be, like, of your game, of the marketing? Yeah.
My message to be far enough out there for content creators to make content about it without being sponsored, for them to actually want to make that content and enjoy it. And that's for two reasons. The first is it's free publicity, it's free marketing that does spread the word about the game over time simply by playing it, enjoying it, and showing how it can be fun. The second reason is to give the message of the game that stereotypes are not a curse and they shouldn't be used as a crutch. You can follow a stereotype in an unconventional way to make a good story out of what everyone expects, but in ways that are really respectful. I think people really have begun to hate things like stereotypes without fully understanding what they are and how they can be used. And my game is almost entirely built upon stereotypes and unconventional storytelling. So I
Hmm.
want my game to reach as far as possible so I can teach people that the tools aren't wrong, it's the utilization of the tools, and they have so much to do. That it's a crime that their creativity is being stifled.
Okay. I like that. All right, one more, and then we will go to the conclusion here. I think I already got that. Who's also targeting your customers? Yeah, I mean, we kind of already did that. Let's do roll the same thing. Uh, no, they don't. I rolled 4. Last thing here. What is your project's top 5 selling points?
So, top 5 selling points is pretty interesting. Firstly is super customization. Even with the base rulings, a single class with nothing else taken into account has over 5,000 customization options. Taking the species into account, that is times 7. Taking the home systems into account, that is times 6. There are thousands and
Okay, so that's a solid answer. Let's move on to the conclusion then. Death, please. Thank you. Yeah. So, Project Psi. I mean, sounds like very ambitious goals here. But I think you have quite a robust skill system, and you're really leaning into the customization. I think how you paint the vibes of this will be very important to attract to get your target demographic. So I just advise you to keep an eye on who responds to your type of game. Death, is there anything you would like to say as we are finishing up here? Fair enough. Yeah, is there anything you'd like to say during the conclusion? And then we'll do the shameless plugs. Yeah, it's very different. Cool. Let's move on to the next. The final slide. Is there anything you'd like to plug here at the end of this show? Mm-hmm. Okay, I like that type of community planning. Would that be would the Discord server hypothetically be called Project Psi, or would that be Bevoom Bost? Okay. Alright, so I guess keep an eye out for that at some point. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show.